This terrifies me. When I was 4 years old, really was when my hearing was something that was thought about. I went through like 4 surgeries for grommets, and if you don't know what grommets are, they're literally like little polo mints. That's what I used to call them. I went through like 4 surgeries of that, and it came to a point where they just said, you know, we can't keep doing this, we're going to damage your hearing. And the only real option for me was to get a hearing aid, which is something that I never wanted. You know, when you're young, you don't really want to stand out. You don't want something to be wrong with you, or weird, I guess, about you. I don't think it was until I was 19 that I really started to wear both my hearing aids all the time. It's just something that I never wanted to look at myself and think, this is something that is part of me. And it's taken me a really long time, and probably not yet, that I've gotten to the point of accepting that.
I think this is what we're looking for.
Yeah, it is. They're all our albums.
Yeah. Look at that one.
What one is it?
With our armbands on. Yeah, you're in quite a few of these ones.
They're pigtails.
Was there ever like a moment you noticed that I kind of accepted being deaf?
Well, when you stopped not wearing your hearing aids, I suppose that's really, I suppose, the moment that I would have thought that you had some level of acceptance for it. Because initially you would have like slipped them off or forgotten them or whatever, you know, when you were going out to see your friends.
I remember you not wanting to wear them into school.
Yeah.
And struggling that you couldn't hear in school. And that I couldn't understand. I was like, but just wear your hearing aids, then you can hear, no? Like that.
Yeah.
Like it just, I didn't see it, but obviously it's not me that has to go in and into friends who don't see young people generally wearing hearing aids. They might associate it with their grandparents or whatever. I didn't understand because I didn't see it different. It's an aid. I just thought like, well, it's just like your glasses.
I feel like it's much more complicated than that. And for a long time, I felt like there's no point in me being part of the deaf community because I can hear. And I think I've just always said that I'll live in the hearing world for the rest of my life. But in the back of my head, I always think about that line between hearing and deafness fading. And as I grow older, maybe the hearing world isn't where I belong anymore. And that's really scary. Going deaf has to be my biggest fear. To think that it could all just fade away and be nothing. It kind of puts into perspective of the way things could be, and that's not a reality that I want. Within the community, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about the deaf world and the hearing world. And for most of my life, I've just felt like I'm on this really thin line between the both of them. And no matter what I try, I don't feel like I belong on either side. Because I have this thing in my head that I'm not deaf enough.
There's somebody's boots on you.
You absolutely loved your bottle. Couldn't do anything without having a bottle.
Bottle of milk.
To be part of a deaf community, surely I must need to be a certain degree of deaf. I want to know if there's other people in the community who doubt their deafness. Because I know I do. I began to wonder how other deaf individuals viewed their disability, if they viewed it as a disability at all. I decided to speak to my two close friends, Sophie and Lisa, on their experience with their deafness.
Sophie, I love you. Sophie, I love you.
I was born profoundly deaf. I was born in Dublin, but then I moved to the UK when I was 2. I went to a deaf unit in a entertainment store. And I moved back in Dublin when I was 5, and I went to a Canberra deaf school. When it comes to deafness, like I never thought it's more at the word deaf, though. Like I never consider it as a disability because it's part of who I am.
I view my deafness as a negative.
Yeah.
Like my life was negatively impacted by it.
Yeah. I feel that. I felt like that for most of my life as well. And then it wasn't until like in my 20s, like around the time when I started college, I was like, look, I can either embrace it or go against the fact that I'm deaf. Cause like I'm deaf and like I'm gonna be deaf for the rest of my life, and like, there's nothing I can do about it. So either I can just embrace the fact that I'm deaf or go against it. I think my main insecurity is that like people can see my hearing aids. Because when I was growing up, because you know like when you're a kid and then you meet kids your age or like someone who's older, every time if they see your hearing aids, they're like, oh, what's that in your ear, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's why I'm very insecure about it.
At this point in time in my life, I don't see any positives within deafness, and that's something that I want to change, yet I don't know how. Is there something within deafness that I am yet to gain something positive from? And if so, what is that?
I was born deaf. My whole family is deaf. My mum, my dad, my brother, my sister are deaf. So it's just always been a way of life. I obviously knew I was deaf when I was born, and when I was in like primary school and stuff, we would have hearing aids, but we hated wearing them because like everyone was just mean about it in school. I got 2 hearing aids then, and I would only wear one because I had long hair at like this side at the time, so I could wear it on this side without anybody knowing. but I wouldn't wear it on this side because I didn't want people to see it. In like primary school, it would be like the whole class and then me, and then everything like would be happening, and then be like, oh, and then Lisa. Do you know what I mean, kind of thing? So I was always othered. If I'm in work, or if I'm out with my friends, or if no matter where I am, it'll always happen to the point where, like, if I'm like, oh, what was that? And somebody said, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's not important. Oh, I'll tell you later. Frustrates me so much, because why should I have to miss out just because you feel like that's not important? So if somebody's making a joke and you don't think it's that funny, what if I find it funny? What if it's going to be the funniest thing for me, but I'll never know?
So do you think there's more frustration associated with deafness than positive?
I feel like it depends on your mindset, because I used to hate it so much that I would refuse to acknowledge it. I would never speak about it. I never wanted to speak about it. But now, I like when people ask me questions about it, because then I can educate them and I can explain what works for me and how stuff actually is. You know, like when people go, how can you drive? Deaf people can't drive, you know. Let me tell you. I feel like my quality of life has definitely improved, because I think with age I'm just getting more confident with it and more of a who actually cares. So I feel like it's kind of a mind frame thing, because I used to think there was more negative, but now I'm like, no, it's actually a positive, because I know a whole ass other language. You know, I know I can sign, and I feel like I have best of both worlds, in the sense I can be around hearing people, I can talk, I can do all like the normal stuff, and have this whole other community. But I can change my clothes, I can change my hair. So if people don't like it, I'm like, whatever. But I can't change the fact that I need to wear these every single day of my life.
If you could have it your way,
Yeah.
and not be deaf, would you do that? Or do you think your life is what it is now because you are deaf?
It's funny because I thought about that question like a few years ago. It's not something that I ever let my dog think about that question, because I don't want to like upset my dog or something like that. I think I probably would like now, but
You probably would what?
I probably would, like, if I could not be deaf, I probably would, like, take that option. But I think, like, everything that I've been through as a deaf person, it made me who I am today.
I would absolutely not change. No way. It's not even a choice for me. Like, I am who I am because of everything I am.
After these conversations, I began to look at myself differently. I used to see me and my deafness as two separate things that could never exist together. But maybe that was the issue. Did you ever look at me and think I wasn't like you?
No, I did, like, honestly, it's just, that was just you. I knew, obviously, but you don't ever look and be like, you're different. In a bad way, it was just, you're different because that's Leah. It wasn't like, whatever. I don't know. I like, can't also...
But yeah, I mean, you are just you with all that you are, and same as you, you know. We're all just what we are. We're components of what we are.
I never looked at you different, is what I mean. I would hate that someone would look at you differently. You weak, that was just you, like.
Here we all have to start wiping
I know.
our
I can't ever not cry.
Thank you.
Starting this journey really gave me a push to do something that really made me uncomfortable. But I'm so glad I did it, and I'm so proud of myself for doing it, because if you had said this 2 years ago, I would not have done it. A disability doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less than or abnormal. It's part of who you are. And it took me a really long time to get to that point, but I'm so glad that I'm here, because I feel so much better. I feel like me. And that feels good.